Ubisoft used to be the name in open world games. For better or for worse, they perfected the climb a tower, reveal the map, rinse and repeat formula that dominated the 2010s. I mean, Breath of the Wild, considered to be one of the most influential games in the modern era, is downstream of that formula. Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Watch Dogs, they weren't just franchises, they were kind of the genre. But somewhere between the 400th Assassin's Creed,
if we continue, one of us will die.
Something went weird. In 2024, Ubisoft was supposed to be bouncing back after a few rough years plagued by internal scandals, mass layoffs, game delays, and a creative identity crisis that would make Square Enix blush. The narrative shifted. Assassin's Creed Shadows was finally happening. A long-awaited feudal Japan Assassin's Creed game promising dual protagonists, a stealth action balance, and a lot of hype. Like, Ubisoft hyped this thing like it was going to be Avengers Endgame for them. But once the dust settled and the financial reports dropped, Ubisoft refused to give a simple answer to a simple question: how many copies did it sell? What was the result?
On Assassin's Creed Shadows, we don't disclose units sold.
There's a growing suspicion that Ubisoft's big comeback might just be another illusion, a projection from a company desperately trying to convince everyone, including themselves, that everything is fine. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, what the hell is going on with Ubisoft? So let's start off with the weirdest PR dodge of the year. So Assassin's Creed Shadows dropped, and Ubisoft promptly did this weird thing that they're not the only ones that do it or anything. A lot of these modern AAA developers just love screaming this word: engagement.
They might have dressed it up with pretty words. That does not make it true.
And according to Ubisoft, Shadows has the second highest engagement for an Assassin's Creed game. What does that mean, though? Pre-orders, likes, number of times someone clicked the trailer on YouTube, play hours? I mean, that's a weird thing to brag about when no one really knows what it is. When reporters had the audacity to ask how many copies it sold, Ubisoft got quieter than you would think an assassin would have to be on hard mode. I mean, you're not always completely right about that, but it's whatever. And the collective internet noticed. Ubisoft themselves delivered a Jedi tier dodge. We don't share specific sales figures, but we're very pleased. That is, of course, don't ask questions, just buy the damn game, in PR speak. Now this is concerning because Ubisoft is not in great shape. Their latest financial report showed revenue down, back catalog sales falling, and even Just Dance tripping over its own shoelaces. If Shadows was really the savior they're pretending it is, most people would assume they'd be screaming the sales numbers from the rooftops. And they are not. So either Shadows is printing money and Ubisoft is being shy for fun, which is, to be fair, what I would do if I were printing money. People don't need to know about my money. I'm also not printing money, so maybe I would be bragging about it. I don't know. But they're either doing that and they're being shy for fun, I guess, or they're redefining success. How very postmodern of them. So right after this weird PR dance that feels, I don't know, like a bad sitcom almost. Right after that, they reintroduced Charlie Guillermo. Anyways, our man Charlie left back in 2021 to pursue other opportunities. Other opportunities being a Web3 gaming company called Unagi, which they appear to be a DeFi, which is decentralized finance blockchain company that is also a leading Web3 gaming studio. I don't think I want to research that any further. I don't know what's going to end up in all that personal information they sell to everybody. Best case scenario, I get a bunch of crypto ads. Charlie's the son of the CEO of Ubisoft. Anyway, before NFT Fantasy Sports or whatever the hell he was doing with Unagi, he was actually the co-head of the mobile studio at Ubisoft called Owlant. Owlant made a game called Tom Clancy's Elite Squad that depicted a fictional terrorist group that used imagery that was very, very similar to the Black Lives Matter symbol. This led to public apologies and Charlie's departure from the company. That he went from that to NFTs and decentralized finance, crypto stuff doesn't make anybody really think of this guy as like the most professional. So Charlie has returned to Ubisoft to co-lead a new transformation committee aimed at revitalizing the company, because things aren't going so well. And what better thing to do than to bring in fresh blood that used to work at the company and is also the CEO's son? Yeah, I don't see that resulting in a whole lot of brand new ideas. Call me crazy. And as they are transforming, so too is their release dates. Now, while you play Ubisoft games like maybe Far Cry or Ghost Recon or whatever, Ubisoft is playing a game called Delay All the Things. Far Cry 7, Assassin's Creed Hex, and Ghost Recon, they've all been pushed back to 2026 or later. The official reason is to create the best conditions for success, which, isn't wrong. While they've been pretty dodgy about telling us exactly how Assassin's Creed Shadows did, it's pretty likely it did better than Assassin's Creed Mirage. And part of that is definitely because rather than release it a year ago in whatever state it was in, they released it after another year of work in that state, which is a lot of steps in the right direction for Assassin's Creed, whether you think that it was all the steps that needed to be taken or not. I enjoyed it. Was it the best Assassin's Creed, and was it the best that they could ever do? I'll answer no to both of those, but I think the delay benefited the game, and I think that is certainly something they're thinking about here. Let's break it down. Far Cry 7 was originally rumored for 2025. They're now eyeing a 2026 launch at the earliest. The game's reportedly undergoing significant changes, including a shift to the Snowdrop engine and a new storyline involving a cult and a ticking clock mechanic. Assassin's Creed Hex, which was teased way back in 2022. This one's set in 16th century witch trials in Central Europe. Not a lot of details, but it's unlikely to see the light of day before 2027. The next Ghost Recon, after the lukewarm reception of Breakpoint, Ubisoft is taking its time with this one for obvious reasons. We don't really have any details on this one, but the delay suggests a pretty significant overhaul is in the works. Like I said, Ubisoft is banking on the idea these delays are going to lead to better quality games, and while that's a noble goal, it is a risky move in an industry where long development cycles can lead to increased costs and waning player interest. And, well, nothing says that better than the next three words: Sands of Time. Remember when Ubisoft announced the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake back in 2020? It was going to be a nostalgia trip down memory lane, slated for release in January 2021. It is May, as of this recording, in 2025. This game has been delayed many times. It's switched development studios, and it has undergone significant overhauls. Honestly, it's like Ubisoft is thinking that they're using the dagger of time and rewinding, except for they're not, because that's not how time works, at least in real life. Wouldn't it be funny if they added like a storyline where you use the dagger of time to develop a video game? We can take as long as we want. Anyway, initially it was handled by Ubisoft Pune in Mumbai, and it faced criticism for visuals and overall quality, so they handed the reins over to Ubisoft Montreal in 2022, the studio behind the original 2003 classic. It was seen as a positive step. Probably was. We don't know because we really haven't heard anything. But Ubisoft has confirmed the remake is scheduled for release by March 31st, 2026, aligning with the end of fiscal year 2025 to 2026. This does provide a more concrete timeline, but it's their property. They don't have to tell the truth about when it's going to come out, and even if they are, they don't have to stick to it. If they think they should delay it more, they could. It's part of the beauty of freedom, as well as a test of patience for those of us who like freedom but don't like waiting. This is a timeless classic, and what I mean by that is that there is no amount of time that you could have estimated development to take in be correct about. Well, it's also like a standard time list. I mean, Sands of Time is killer, and whenever it does come out, it's going to be great. But man, it's not exactly professional the way they handle this stuff, is it? Well, people are taking notice that, I mean, that's a sort of a broader trend than just Ubisoft itself. There is a problem that many are calling deprofessionalization in the AAA gaming industry. I mean, it's the elephant in the Ubisoft boardroom, but you can see it elsewhere too. It's not just a buzzword, it's kind of this unsettling reality that's turning game development from a job, nay, a profession, into a gig economy free-for-all. At events like PAX East 2025, the shift was absolutely palpable. The show floor was once dominated by major publishers and felt like a ghost town, to be frank. Attendees noticed the absence of significant exhibitors and a lack of engaging content, and honestly, a lot of people call it one of the saddest conventions they can remember. And everyone still remembers DashCon. We haven't forgot DashCon. Doesn't mean PAX East 2025 was chipper, but it's not really about an event per se. The event is kind of the forward-facing evidence of the thing that's happening. Ubisoft, for instance, has laid off over 3,000 employees between September 2023 and December 2024. They've replaced these stable, long-term employment opportunities with short-term contracts and freelance gigs. This is, of course, not even exclusive to gaming. If you wonder what the hell ever happened to unions, benefits, and stability, the words that you can easily answer this with are gig work. Gig work allows employers to, well, not have employees, more or less. They have people that act like employees, but legally speaking, they're sole proprietors of small businesses that are being contracted out for work. And big companies that do business with small businesses don't usually give a shit about the small businesses. They're doing it because it's a matter of necessity. And the second they could find somebody who can do it cheaper, they do. This creates a race to the bottom that is draining the talent from the video game industry. Not just the video game industry, but there's no reason to talk about other industries within the context of this video, of course. Junior developers in particular are finding it extremely difficult to secure positions, which is leading to a lack of not only fresh perspectives and innovation, but retained talent and expertise being something that a studio develops over time. Arcane Austin, before it was closed, had almost 70% of its workforce just leave because they were tired of working on Redfall, which was Redfall. It wasn't an immersive sim, what that developer was known for. It was a crappy live service game that nobody wanted to work on. And when you're not attracting and retaining talent, hell, when you're just making it impossible for talent to get anywhere, even just the simple foot in the door, it's hard to imagine that over time games will get better, because if every year you have a training season to onboard all of the new people, replacing the people that got burnt out or left for greener pastures, say a better offer somewhere else, or, you know, a job, not even a video game job, just a job. Like, the sad thing with a lot of these developers is they're leaving games. This is all hitting Ubisoft hard. I mean, it's hitting everybody hard, but Ubisoft laid off over 3,000 employees since September 2023. That is an obscene number of employees. And honestly, the proof is in the pudding with all these development resets. Even if you have a game that's going well, if you lose important members of the staff mid-development, you essentially have to reboot development, even if technically you're just continuing development, because you have to find a team of people and have them figure out what the hell's going on with the game. A lot of the time, it's better just to start from scratch, because sometimes when certain members leave, you have the extra problem that they're kind of the cipher that can interpret the code and explain it to new people. If that person's gone, well, good luck. I cannot imagine how many times that happened with Skull and Bones. Can you believe I've gone this entire damn video without mentioning Skull and Bones? What's funny is I don't even need to. Like, I just have to say the words Skull and Bones. That's it. That's all. You all know what I mean. And if you don't, the Wikipedia is more about the development hell than the quadruple A game itself. So, what the hell is going on with Ubisoft? Well, the same thing that's going on with a lot of these big game companies, except they visibly suck. I mean, they keep bumbling and tripping over their own feet and spend a decade making a game that isn't good, Skull and Bones, or doesn't come out, Beyond Good and Evil 2. Can you believe I haven't even said Beyond Good and Evil 2 yet? I mean, there's so many examples that just serve as shorthand for mismanagement and not knowing what you're doing, and they're attributable to Ubisoft. That's what the hell is going on with Ubisoft. Amidst a sea of change in an industry that has become bloated, isn't serving the people who work in it, and isn't serving its consumers, Ubisoft stands out as a problem. To be noticeable in that bunch is not a desirable position. And a lot of us do genuinely think that Assassin's Creed Shadows is a step in the right direction, and it probably will be a good thing long term. We don't know how much of a good thing, and that feels really weird. These delays, also probably the right moves for those games, but we also have to keep in mind these guys are not in the best of condition. I think the bigger question, and maybe one that we'll try to answer another day, is what the hell is going to happen with Ubisoft? What do you think? Leave us a comment, let us know. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications, and as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter and book me on Cameo at Falcon the Hero, and we'll see you next time right here on gameranx.